To salvage the Pentagon pick of Pete Hegseth, it looks like Donald Trump and MAGA are working overtime on Senator Joni Ernst to get her over to their side, and it may be working, in quite a shock given her military career and the fact that she herself is a professed victim of sexual assault and rape. I'm shocked by it, but let me cover it for you right here on the Midas Touch Network and Legal AF. I held out a lot of hope that Lieutenant Colonel Senator Joni Ernst, even though she was passed up for the job of to be the head of the Pentagon and Secretary of Defense under Donald Trump, that she would stand in the way and make sure that Pete Hegseth didn't get that job. Every day we get new reporting of allegations against Pete Hegseth, beginning with a rape charge against him in 2017, a series of infidelities in his marriage, out of wedlock children, allegations of public drunkenness, financial mismanagement, his own mother writing an email saying he's a serial sex abuser and women abuser. I would think that would be enough to tank 10 different cabinet picks. And I was holding out hope that on the Republican side, I know who on the Democrat side will take on Pete Hegseth, people like Senator Tammy Duckworth of Hawaii, who lost both of her legs and part of an arm in a helicopter crash when she served in the military. And he's got a lot of explaining to do, both on his own personal record of mistreatment and misogyny against women, his views that come from his right-wing Christian nationalist philosophy that women should not be in the military or shouldn't be in combat positions in the military. Tell that to war veteran and hero Tammy Duckworth. And I thought Joni Ernst had her own particular axe to grind and would stand up for America, but it looks like I may be wrong. Joni Ernst on paper looked like the perfect foil for Donald Trump. She had already taken out Matt Gaetz and his nomination to be Attorney General. It was after a visit that Matt Gaetz made to Joni Ernst and John Cornyn, two senators, where they basically told Gaetz, you got no chance. It's not getting through. You know, you might be able to hide that report from the Senate, the Congressional Ethics Committee, about the charges against you for sex trafficking and predator behavior and raping of young girls. But you're not going to get through the confirmation process. And he promptly dropped out. And I thought, all right, well, that sort of emboldened the Senate and the moderates in the Senate and people like Joni Ernst to do that for Pete Hegseth. Take him out. Don't let him get any further. But Pete Hegseth they've been trotting him out to Capitol Hill to go meet with people. And he just met with Joni. Now, I thought Joni would stand up for America for a number of reasons. Let me tell you my rationale, then I'll tell you what happened. My rationale was combat veteran, lieutenant colonel, served in Iraq, also has a personal story, an authentic story about being sexually assaulted, raped, and physically assaulted by a relationship that she was in. So she's a victim of these things. She understands and empathizes with women who have been in that certain situation. And against people like Pete Hegseth, I thought, okay. She got passed over in the Senate for the position she wanted in leadership, the number 3 position in the Senate, which would be the whip. She got passed over for the Department of Defense to be the head of the Pentagon, even though she is, eminently qualified in terms of her credentials. And I thought, okay, with all of that, how are they ever going to get to Joni Ernst? Sorry, I made a little faux pas there. And then I read, for me, the worm started to turn about 2 weeks ago when I read that Joni Ernst was going to be the head of the Senate side of the Department of Government Efficiency, this fake Doge thing that's all the rage with Elon Musk and Donald Trump and Ramaswamy, that she was going to be the Marjorie Taylor Greene of the Senate. Marjorie Taylor Greene was going to run the caucus related to it in the House, in the committee related to it, and Joni Ernst was going to run the Doge Senate caucus. I'm like, all right, well, to me now, I think they got to Joni, because now she's talking about budget cutting and getting rid of pork barrel, oink, oink, she quoted about pork barrel. By the way, it's senators and congresspeople that make sure that a lot of that government lard goes home, and that's why it's called pork barrel. I was like, uh-oh. Now they gave her some big interesting platform It looks like they're trying to reel her back into the party, into MAGA, and reel her back into the tent, because they rather have, the old saying, they rather have Joni standing in the tent pissing out than the other way around. Now, the first round of interviews, she said that she had a lot of, she was very troubled by Hegseth, that there was a lot of explaining he had to do, that there was a lot of issues he had to raise or address with her. But now there's new reporting that he just did a round with her yesterday or so, and she said, "Well, I was very encouraged by my interviews with Hegseth." And in what way? You went through in detail the 3 wives he's had, the cheating on 2 of them, the 2 out of wedlock children, the people even that he worked with that said his infidelity is legendary, his abuse of women is legendary, even his own mother recognized it, his position on women not serving in combat roles. Which part, Senator Ernst, did you get comfortable with in order to now look like you're going to bend over to support Hegseth? Let's face it, after a night with drinks, I don't bounce back the next day like I used to. I have to make a choice. I can either have a great night or a great next day. That is until I found ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink. ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make ZBiotics your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. Now look, I won't lie. I was a bit on the fence about pre-alcohol initially. But then, while hanging out with my fantasy football draft crew over at our favorite Jersey Shore sports bar, I gave it a shot. And believe me, it's the real deal. I spent the entire next day doing all my favorite things with my family, including a long hike on our favorite trail. I kept hearing about pre-alcohol, and I wondered what it was actually like. But now that I've tried it, I believe the hype. And with their GMO technology, they will release different products that help address toxic byproducts of modern living in the gut. Go to zbiotics.com/legalaf to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use LegalAF at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/legalaf and use the code legalaf at checkout for 15% off. Now, it's a relatively narrow margin in the Senate too. It's 4 seats. You lose 4 seats, 4 votes for Hegseth. He's done. He's cooked. But Trump is doubling down on it. We've heard some trial balloons, maybe Joni Ernst for the Pentagon, maybe Ron DeSantis for the Pentagon that would clear up a Senate issue for Donald Trump so he could give his daughter-in-law the Senate seat in Florida that would pop up when Marco Rubio came into the Secretary of State position. But now it looks like he's leaning in on Hegseth, and MAGA is going after Joni Ernst. That was the other thing that I realized. How sharp the knives are for Donald Trump to get Hegseth in the Pentagon. Hegseth is not qualified. He's obscenely unqualified, and his fitness and character are completely lacking to run the Pentagon. Formerly, a major in the National Guard, but so co-opted by the Christian right, the Christian nationalist right, that he's calling for the next crusade. Go read his books. Don't buy them, but go read his books on Amazon. The American Crusade, all the tattoos on his body that represent his view of Christian nationalism. That they want an Armageddon. They want an apocalypse in order to reinstall heaven on earth. This is the person who's straight in the head that we want running the Pentagon. It's $3 billion budget. It's several million soldiers. And this is okay with Joni Ernst. So Joni, I don't know what you're doing, okay? But you're going to sacrifice the American, our security and our values on the altar of what? That you got the Doge caucus position? I mean, that's the kids' table at Thanksgiving, isn't it? I thought you wanted the Pentagon position. You should be pushing harder to get the Pentagon position, not to give it over to Hegseth. I just find it mind-boggling. Can you imagine if any of the Democrats had done this? You know, we threw out a senator because while he was a comedian, he made a joking reference to a fellow comedian or entertainer's body parts and we got rid of Al Franken, who'd been a comedian his entire life until he became a very well-respected senator because they found an old photo of him on a tour overseas to entertain the troops. And we were like, oh, there's the door. Pete Hegseth, if any one of these things and any Democrat voted for him, they would be punished at the polls. And that's what they're going after Joni Ernst with, MAGA. They're basically saying, we're going to exact a political price if you don't support Trump on this. You know, having lost Gates, they want her on Trump. And they're going to want her on Kash Patel to gut and hollow out and run the FBI as a personal vendetta organization. Stand up for America. I haven't been able to use the word statesman or statesperson in a long, long time when it comes to a Republican. All of them have been quashed, lost in primaries, retired early, and what's left? What is a moderate Republican? What does it look like? Should it be stuffed and put into a natural history museum? Or is that it? Here is Republicus Moderus, died in 2016 after Trump was elected. That's it? We're done? Cro-Magnon beat Homo sapien? It's just mind-boggling to me. But I got a report on it from what I see. Between her being, them dangling this little pork chop of, why don't you help us cut all the pork? And why don't you run the Senate side of Doge? Oh, okay. Even though we passed you over for all the major leadership positions and gave it to old white guys in the Senate for the Republicans. You know, even though we passed you over, and even though you're eminently qualified to be the Pentagon chair, and we're going to put this loser, woman abuser, drunk, alleged, from Fox and Friends Weekend Edition to run our Pentagon. That's okay with you? It's not okay with me, nor our audience. I'm going to continue to focus it, train our fire on it. All of these obscenely unqualified picks by Donald Trump, starting with Hegseth, ending with Kash Patel and RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard. We're ready right here. Midas Touch Network, Legal AF. Follow me, Michael Popak. I got a new show on Midas Touch called Popak Live, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, YouTube, right here, Tuesday nights. Wednesday and Saturday, the long-form Legal AF podcast. Wednesdays, I do it with Karen Friedman at Nifolo. Saturday with Ben Mycelis. And we're on audio podcast platforms of your choice. Brand new channel. Get ready for 2025 and the incoming Trump presidency and all the lawsuits that'll be following closely behind. Legal AF, the YouTube channel, Legal AF MTN, in collaboration with the Midas Touch Network. So until my next reporting on all things Legal AF, this is Michael Popak. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories, the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.